Imagine holding a guidebook to the afterlife, one filled with whispers of gods, judgment scenes, and magical words that promise safe passage through the underworld. That's exactly what the ancient Egyptians believed in, and it's the magic of their Book of the Dead, or more precisely, spells for coming forth by day. While some may consider this just a dusty relic, it's actually a bold living map for the soul's journey beyond. In just 13 minutes, we're going on a journey of our own. We'll uncover how this mystical book was born from earlier funerary texts, explore its mysterious creators, the scribes who wove faith and magic into papyrus, and look deeply at the vivid rituals, epic spells, and fierce judgment scenes that shaped how Egyptians understood eternity. Stay with me, and you'll see how this ancient how-to guide still echoes through the ages in powerful, unforgettable ways. Birth of a book meant for the dead. When someone died in ancient Egypt, that wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a whole new journey. But this wasn't a peaceful stroll into the afterlife. It was a perilous journey, fraught with monsters, traps, and tests. To survive, the soul needed help. That's where the Book of the Dead came in. The book wasn't really a book the way we think of it. It was a scroll, often over 50 feet long, filled with spells and magical drawings. These weren't bedtime stories. They were tools to help a soul pass through the underworld safely. At first, only kings had access to such spells. The earliest ones, called pyramid texts, were carved into tomb walls around 2400 BCE. Later, around 2000 BCE, spells were written inside coffins. Eventually, during the New Kingdom, about 1550 BCE, people began writing them on papyrus scrolls. These became what we call the Book of the Dead. Each copy was unique. Some had 30 spells, some had nearly 200. Wealthier Egyptians had beautifully decorated versions. Others had simpler ones. The goal was the same: protect the soul from danger and help it reach the next life. The Egyptians believed the soul had many parts: the Ka, life force; Ba, personality; Ren, name, and others. If even one part got lost, the soul couldn't live forever. So the book helped keep everything together. One of the most critical parts of the afterlife journey was the weighing of the heart. The dead person's heart was placed on a scale and weighed against a feather, the feather of Mut, the goddess of truth. If the heart was too heavy with lies, a creature named Ammit would eat it. If it balanced, the soul could live forever in the field of reeds, a paradise. To avoid this horrible fate, the book included spells with names like Spell for Not Dying Again and Spell to Become a Lotus. Strange, maybe, but each one was believed to serve a purpose. One of the most famous versions of the book belongs to a man named Ani, a scribe who lived around 1250 BCE. His scroll was over 70 feet long, filled with colorful scenes of gods, judgment, and magic. It's now kept in the British Museum. Who wrote these spells? Trained scribes. Writing magic wasn't easy. A single mistake in a hieroglyph could ruin a spell. So scribes were deeply respected. They held the keys to eternity. Today, these scrolls teach us more than just religious ideas. They show us how much ancient Egyptians valued truth, courage, and the hope that life never really ends. Spells, symbols, and secrets of the scrolls. The Book of the Dead might sound like a scary horror title today, but in ancient Egypt, it was a guidebook for hope. Every line, every symbol, every spell was there to help a soul survive the most dangerous journey imaginable. This wasn't a map of cities or rivers, it was a map of the invisible. There were spells to stop snakes from biting, spells to open doors in the underworld, spells to help you breathe, eat, and drink when you had no body. One even helped you avoid doing work in the afterlife. It literally said, "Don't make me plow the fields." Egyptians knew what mattered. But here's the thing. These weren't just random words. The Egyptians believed deeply in the power of names. If you could name something, you could control it. That's why many spells begin with direct addresses. O Osiris, or O Gatekeeper. It was about speaking with confidence, using language to survive. One of the most potent spells was Spell 125, used in the weighing of the heart. It was a confession, but not the kind we know. You didn't say what you did wrong. You listed what you didn't do. I did not lie. I did not steal. I did not hurt. 42 judges listened. Each one ruled over a specific sin. If your heart passed the test, you were free. If not, well, Ahmed waited. Symbols mattered just as much. A scarab beetle wasn't just a bug. It represented rebirth. The Ankh wasn't just a cool shape, it was life itself. In the Eye of Horus, protection, healing, and royal power all wrapped into one. Scribes drew these symbols into the scrolls with care, believing each one carried real force. So, the artwork wasn't meant to be a pretty decoration, it was meant to tell a story. Gods like Anubis, the jackal-headed one, helped guide souls. Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, recorded the outcome of the judgment. Mot stood by with her feather, representing truth. To the Egyptians, these messages were real and near. Many scrolls showed the soul traveling through a series of gates. Each gate had a name, a guardian, and a password. Get the name wrong, the soul might be trapped forever. Get it right, the journey continued. That's why people studied the Book of the Dead while they were still alive, so they wouldn't stumble in death. Some versions of the book were buried with the dead, others were placed on the mummy's chest. The positioning mattered. Words near the heart, images near the eyes. Magic wasn't just written, it was felt. It's easy to think of all this as superstition, but step back and it looks familiar. A guide to help someone through fear, words to protect them, symbols to calm them. People still write things like that today, in journals, prayers, and affirmations. The form changes, but the need doesn't. The Book of the Dead really wasn't about death. It was about man's dignity. It said your life had meaning and your journey isn't over. That's a message strong enough to survive 3,000 years. The journey through the Duat. Imagine closing your eyes for the last time and opening them in a world of fire, stars, and serpents. This was the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. But it wasn't hell. It wasn't punishment. It was a test, a transformation, a crossing. To the ancient Egyptians, the Duat was a place both terrifying and beautiful. It changed shape constantly. Mountains, lakes, burning deserts, even upside-down skies. At every step, the soul had to answer riddles, fight off beasts, or walk through flame. But all of this had a purpose. The Duat wasn't trying to destroy you, it was trying to prove you. The gods were everywhere. Ra, the sun god, passed through the Duat every night, sailing on a bark, a kind of glowing boat. He lit the way for souls, but also fought chaos itself. Each night, he battled a serpent named Apophis. If he lost, the sun wouldn't rise. That's how serious the Egyptians were about this realm. Even the gods weren't safe. Anubis, the jackal-headed guide, led the dead through the gates. But he didn't hold your hand. You had to know the spells. You had to speak the names. You had to prove your worth. The Book of the Dead wasn't just reading. It was survival gear. There were gates guarded by demons, rivers filled with knives, but there were also beautiful gardens, lotus pools, fields of reeds, the place where the righteous would live forever. The afterlife was earned, not given. If you passed all trials, you came to the Hall of Two Truths. Here stood the god Osiris, ruler of the dead, seated on a throne. In the center, a scale. On one side, your heart. On the other side, the feather of Mot. Truth, justice, balance. A heart too heavy with sin would betray you. No excuses, no lawyers, just the scale. Watching close was Ammit, the devourer, a creature part lion, part hippo, part crocodile. If your heart failed, she swallowed it. That was it. No afterlife, no second chance, just silence. But if your heart was light, if you had lived with honor, you passed. You entered the field of reeds. It looked just like Egypt, but perfect. Green fields, fresh water, no suffering. You could farm, fish, and see loved ones again. To the Egyptians, this was peace. Not endless rest, but endless renewal. This entire journey, from death to judgment to reward, was personal. You weren't just part of a crowd. Every soul mattered. Every step was sacred. The Book of the Dead gave people the tools to prepare. Just like travelers packed suitcases, the dead packed scrolls. Some tombs included little models, boats, workers, even food. These were meant to help in the next world. They didn't see death as the end. It was a beginning. That's what makes the Book of the Dead so powerful even now. It wasn't written to scare. It was written to empower. To say, you have what it takes. If you live with honesty, you'll be ready. If you know your heart, you'll make it through. In the end, the Duat wasn't just a mystical place. It was a mirror. It showed who you really were. And it asked, are you ready to rise? Echoes of the Afterlife. Long after the pyramids were built and the pharaohs stopped ruling, the Book of the Dead kept whispering through time. Even as sand covered tombs and languages faded, this guide to the next life left a deep mark, not just on Egypt, but on the whole world. The book wasn't buried with every Egyptian. Most couldn't afford it. Only the wealthy, the royal, and the scribes had scrolls custom made for their journey. But the ideas? Those ideas spread, and they lasted. Concepts like judgment after death, the weighing of the soul, the hope of peace beyond the grave. Those didn't stay locked in pyramids. You can hear echoes of them today, in religions, in stories, even in movies. The journey of the soul, the battle between chaos and order, the idea that death is not the end, but a doorway. These didn't begin in Egypt, but Egypt painted them in vivid color and handed them to history. In the 19th century, explorers began unearthing tombs and scrolls. The dry Egyptian air had preserved the papyri like glass under sand. One of the most famous versions of the Book of the Dead was found in the tomb of Ani, a royal scribe. It's now in the British Museum. When Western scholars first saw it, they didn't know what to make of it. It wasn't a book in the modern sense. It had no single author, no table of contents. It was a collection of experiences, beliefs, and sacred truths. Each copy was different, yet all followed the same invisible thread. Life continues. Be ready. The name Book of the Dead wasn't Egyptian at all. It was a label given by German Egyptologist Carl Richard Lepsius in 1842. But the Egyptians called it the Book of the Coming Forth by Day. Because to them, death wasn't darkness. It was light. It was waking up in the realm of the gods. Today, we have over 200 known spells from various scrolls. Some are practical, how to breathe in the afterlife. Others are poetic, songs for sunrise, prayers for peace. And some are fierce, commanding demons to step aside. Each one was personal, a soul's passport to forever. Even now, modern Egyptians take pride in this ancient legacy. You can find replicas of Book of the Dead spells in museums, gift shops, and art. Schools study them. Spiritual seekers draw lessons from them. The idea that how we live shapes what comes next, this hasn't gone away. If anything, it feels more alive than ever. And let's not forget the artistry. The colors, the hieroglyphs, the drawings. They weren't just decoration. They were part of the magic. To see a spell was to give it power. To speak it was to make it real. That's why the Book of the Dead wasn't just for the eyes. It was meant to be read aloud, chanted, believed. At its heart, the Book of the Dead asked one simple question. What kind of life will you live, knowing there's more beyond? It wasn't about fear. It was about meaning, about preparing, honoring, remembering. Thousands of years later, the scrolls still speak, and their message is clear. Live well, speak truth, walk with purpose. And when your journey ends, may your heart be light enough to rise. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about ancient Egypt and its custom belief systems, check out the book, Gods, Goddesses, and Pharaohs of Ancient Egypt, an enthralling overview of deities in Egyptian mythology and powerful rulers who shaped the land of the Nile. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you found the video captivating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.